Hello, hello, hello. Welcome to Royal Sussex Live. Welcome, one and all. Thank you so much for being here. Huh. Okay. Let me see here. Multitasking, multitasking. All right. Let me see who was here first. Connie Bowmer! Thank you so much for being here first. All right. All right. I think that covers everybody. Anyways, no, I'll just say hello as I go along. Let me bring up some slides. And I hope everybody watched the Gilded Age. I'm going to save that for last, um, just in case there's a spoiler. I'll save that for last because I don't want to spoil it for anybody. Okay? How's that? All right. Janet Williams. I'm sorry, Jeanette Williams. Peace and Joy. Lydia Washington. Puzzle Dot. Cookies and Cream. Fancy, fancy. Let's see. Mary H. Oh, there we go. All right, lovely. Nolathando Niandini, thank you for being here. Okay. Carol Lund. Marie Fabian, excellent. Thank you for being here. Okay. So you aren't ever gonna know. You aren't ever gonna know. That's a Betty Davis word. Betty Davis yarn't. Now, I think that's the proper spelling of yarn't. I think that's the proper spelling. Oh my goodness. I didn't know. Well, okay, that's of no consequence. I'll just won't bother with that. Because you know me, I'll take off on something else and let me see. Meaning. Okay. Uh-huh. Uh-huh. Okay. Excellent. All right, let's get on the way. Felton LaShawn, welcome. Thank you for being here. And remember, you guys, one of these days they will have, as ever, rosé in London, all over Europe, all over the world. Everybody is going to have, as ever, rosé. It's going to happen. We got to make it happen. Okay, 6 homes and counting. The royal hypocrisy behind Prince William's homelessness drive. Again, Feminegra, I hope you all do sign up for their mailing list because, well, email. Well, you know what I mean. They'll send you a in your email. Okay, so Prince Million. That was a Freudian slip. See how rich he is? I just called him Prince Million. Oh man, that's funny. Okay. It's Prince William, not Prince Milliam. Milliam. Um anyway, the guy who says he's going to end homelessness, among other things, that Prince Million or William. Them, they, that one. Okay. And up you go. I'm so sorry. I'm adjusting the screen here just to make sure everything is where I need it. All right. So Prince William wants the public to believe he is leading the charge to end homelessness in Britain. His Homewards initiative, launched in 2023, promises to make homelessness rare, brief, and unrepeated. But as the campaign marks its 2-year anniversary, reports show that the future king may be more interested in acquiring castles than creating housing security. How does the man with access to half a dozen homes become the face of housing reform? The contradictions is becoming harder to ignore. I told you guys, Feminagra, they don't play around. And it is hard to ignore that someone like William, who claims that he's going to be the face, the voice, the one who pushes the initiatives to somehow help get people out of homelessness. Now, that also includes people that are sleeping on someone's couch because they don't have a home of their own. I mean, that's, yeah, how do I put that? It's not really conducive of someone who feels like they're upwardly mobile. You know what I mean? How do you feel like you're really contributing and carrying the weight of society from your, own place in this world? You're not growing. You're just not growing. Even if you earn a lot of money, if you can't afford a place of your own, gosh, that's got to be one of the most demoralizing things. I mean, I've been there. I've lost a place before, and let me tell you, it was quite a humbling experience. And pretty much, I just fell asleep on my watch, and I was not. I was not being responsible with my finances, and it happened. And I think it was one of the best things that could ever happen to me because I learned so much about myself. And part of my recovery was a transatlantic flight to London. Yeah, that was my way of celebrating being back up on my feet again. So, but I didn't do it alone. I had some help. My dear sister helped me in ways that I could never ever have repaid her, although I tried. Okay, so to continue, Homewards has, and that's the name of it, Homewards, HOMEWARDS. Homewards has money, but still lacks direction. The Homewards campaign has raised over 50 million in funding and launched more than 100 projects across 6 regions. Williams claims that initiative has moved from planning to delivery, with pilot housing schemes underway. The program also partners with Lloyd's Banking Group and aims to replicate success stories like Finland's Housing First model. However, critics note that the actual plan remains vague. Viewers of the ITV documentary, We Can End Homelessness, left with more questions than answer. Journalists from The Guardian observed the lack of details, while homelessness advocates question whether Homewards tackled root causes or offers PR friendly charity work. William's sprawling property portfolio grows quietly as he talks publicly about housing insecurity. Prince William maintains access to multiple lavish estates. His current main residence is Adelaide Cottage in Windsor. I don't believe that. He also uses apartment 1A at Kensington Palace, a 20-room suite. His weekend home is Admiral Hall with 10 bedrooms uh, in Norfolk, that is. He has ties to Highgrove House. What is that? Llewellyn Wormad in Wales, and a Balmoral cottage reportedly gifted by the Queen. Oh, I'm sorry, the Queen Mother. That doesn't include the other high profile property ambition. Reports from the 2022 indicated William hopes to move into Windsor Castle after the Queen's death, but the move was never approved. More recently, Royal Lodge has reportedly been earmarked for William through Prince Andrew. I'm sorry, though Prince Andrew has refused to vacate. With Andrew refusing to leave, William now appears interested in Fort Belvedere, a 59-acre Gothic estate that once belonged to Edward VIII. Now, didn't I just say that yesterday? That I thought he might have been trying to eye that Royal Lodge? Now, they never came out and formally said that William wanted Royal Lodge, but the word on the street is William wanted Royal Lodge. I mean, it would have been perfect for the Buckleberry crew. That is his mother and father-in-law. Okay. So that being said, oh wait, how did I miss that? Oh no, I got that already. Huh, maybe I'll keep that one. You know what? I like to hang on to stuff because I never know when I might need it. Okay, the mansion hunt exposes the royal contradiction. This ongoing estate campaign undermines the core message of Homewards. News that William and Kate are eyeing Fort Belvedere with its tennis courts, lake, and over 30 rooms make it difficult to believe they are satisfied with modest living. In 2022, the press outlet claimed the couple were happy in Adelaide Cottage. That narrative is now falling apart. You guys, I don't care what they say, William never lived in Adelaide Cottage. Now, maybe Kate and the kids stay there, but I just don't understand how you live in that what's supposed to be a very cramped house, so small they don't have room for servants, even though there is another building right behind the house. Yes, technically, the servants may not have room under the roof, but they are just footsteps away, I believe, in the building that is behind Adelaide Cottage. There's another property behind it, and it's certainly not stables. It looks like housing for servants, a cottage for the servants. If you look at the aerial view, you'll see it. Well, anyway, I never thought that they actually moved. Well, William never moved in that place. I don't know how William goes to Windsor Castle, to the likes of which I'm sure he has an apartment. Could you imagine being the person working the gates at Windsor Castle and William comes through and said, "This is where I'm sleeping tonight"? How do you refuse? The answer is you don't. You do not. I don't know how they could. If Charles is not there, and Charles is not going to refuse him, that's his heir. You know, Charles is not going to refuse him. So I just don't believe what they're saying. Adelaide Cottage is not big enough for them and their servants. And Lord knows William is not going to go far without someone to yell at. So I just don't believe it. And that's just my opinion. Let me see if I can help you out here. Let me try this. Okay, there we go. And I got a little arrow pointing to it as well. You see that? That is Adelaide Cottage. The staff live in the back. The White House that you see there, that's Adelaide Cottage. And behind there, does that look like a mews or a garage? No, that looks like another house. So all this talk about, oh, Adelaide Cottage is so small and so meager that we don't even have room for servants. Then what the heck is that back there? The outhouse? Is that the loo? If it is, that's as large as any outhouse I've ever seen. See what I'm talking about? They are so full of it. They tell you, I mean, they're playing in your face when they say, oh, well, we're scaling back. We're going to go to Adelaide Cottage. So does that mean you're going to give up Animal Hall and then it can go on the market and generate money for the Crown Estate? No, they're going to keep that too. They're going to keep that too. They are collecting properties like Thermos were collecting infinity rings. Here's another view. Maybe this will help. Maybe that's a little clearer. Well, not so much, but yeah. I mean, look at how idyllic that is. Who could not be happy there with their servants, with plenty of parking behind? Oh, they're such liars. They are. They're such liars. They make it sound like, oh, we're roughing it. The Adelaide Cottage is only big enough for our family. We won't even have room for servants. Now, when that happened, could you imagine if the Royal Rota would have gone on television and made fun of them the way that they like to harass the Sussexes? Could you imagine, let's say, oh, who's got Angela Levin. Imagine Angela Levin breaking that down for the public. And Harry and Meghan, they say that they only have room for just their family. But Meghan, she's a Hollywood actress. She gets what she wants. So there's a whole nother house behind. Just imagine that. Imagine that if you would. Imagine some of those awful people that criticize everything the Sussexes do. Imagine them hearing that Harry and Meghan were living in a house that was only big enough for their family and that we don't even have room for servants. You already know what the result of that would be. You already know. They would spend a whole week talking about how privileged they are. And Will and Kate, they are allowed to, say whatever they want without fear of criticism. I mean, what would Angela's reaction be for that one? She doesn't really have a reaction. She just won't say anything. But you already know what her response would be, right? It goes something like this. At first, she would want to say something, but then she would catch herself and she would just do this. You see what I'm saying? She would just lock it up before she gets started. Will and Kate, then how could, well, they probably need the room. And that would be it. That would be it. I still want to know who she's getting all gussied up for. You know what I'm saying? That sounds like I'm not sure that not sounds like, but that looks like that there's somebody she's got feelings for and she decided to try to be extra cute. I mean, look at that. See how she washed that wig? She didn't wash that wig, the wig that looked like it belonged to Peppermint Patty on Charlie Brown. She didn't wash that Peppermint Patty wig and put on extra lipstick. I mean, she really put on some extra lipstick. If she walked into someone and her lips touched their hair, she would still be pulling hair off of her lips. That's not lipstick. That's an epoxy. That's an epoxy resin. But what else do you use on a living cadaver? Okay. So let me see. The mansion hunt exposes the royal contradictions. This ongoing real estate campaign undermines the core message of Homewards. News that William and Kate are eyeing Fort Belvedere with its tennis court, lake, and over 30 rooms make it difficult to believe they are satisfied with modest living. In 2022, the press outlets claimed the couple were happy in Adelaide Cottage. The narrative is now falling apart. Public frustration has followed. LBC radio host James O'Brien called him Prince of Homelessness for clinging to enormous land holdings. Social media users ask how many homes the family of five could possibly need. The optics of this contradiction are damaging. William speaks about the trauma of housing insecurity while continuing to upgrade his living quarters. Oh, oh, you know what? We gotta do this one. We got to do this one. Hold on a second, you guys. Um, let me go ahead and let you guys listen to James O'Brien. Um, and this is from 2023, but I do believe this is from when it first came out that William was trying to move into Adelaide Cottage, which again adds to his portfolio of available royal properties. Okay, so let me get that queued up and then we'll talk on the other side.
Don't let the perfect be the enemy of the good. Yeah. Well, this just isn't very, very good. This is the point.
Steve's in Thirsk. Steve, what do you reckon? How does it sit with you? That's the question.
I mean, to me personally, as tin-eared as Rishi Sunak's comment and involvement, it's the same thing, but we seem to give the Royals a bit of a free pass on it. And you said that you didn't want to go in with the don't let the perfect be the enemy of the good. Yeah. Well, this just isn't very, very good. This is the point. It's not good at all.
Well, I mean, you've got most of the major homelessness charities are on board, and they probably are better judges of that than you or I.
Yeah, but but as you said, it's rightly a PR exercise. I mean, it's largely a PR exercise for him, for William. If you look at the amount of money, yes, 3 million, but the Duchy of Cornwall generates in 20 million a year. That's for him. Never mind all the millions.
Is that his now? Does that pass directly to him when he becomes the Prince of Wales, or I don't even know?
Yeah, so the Duke of Cornwall is the Prince of Wales generally.
So he gets all the Waitrose money.
Yeah, yeah, in theory, along with everyone else. But I mean, it's just such a drop in the ocean of the amount of money we spend on the royal family.
That's the point, isn't it? That's the point.
Just, yeah.
You can't look at one. You can't look at both. You've got one eye on that and one eye on that, and you can't not see both at the same time, can you?
No, you can't. And a modern progressive society is exactly the point. You can't be a modern progressive society and have a monarchy like the one we've got. I mean, I kick them all out. I mean, I'm a Republican through and through. I think we should get rid of it, but we could make the monarchy better,
progressive and modern, or at least more progressive and modern. It could never be, a bit more Scandinavian, perhaps.
Yeah, we could kick them out. We could sort out their finances. I mean, it's an absolute mess trying to understand their finances.
Very deliberately. That's no accident, by the way. Yeah.
Of course. And this is just the point. It's absolutely vomit-inducing for them to get involved. It really is. It's just grotesque. You know,
I'm not going as far as you at this point, but people are supposed to be kind of steer me to a slightly more equitable position this morning. I don't want to be the bloke who's having a swing at
because you're right, and this is the
Prince of Homelessness. The Prince of Homelessness.
We tolerate this nonsense. I mean, the monarchy seeps into every aspect of our politics and society. I mean, we wonder why we've got this issue with peerages and nonsense like that. It comes from all this garbage. And, you know, they've got so many, they don't need all those houses. I mean, they could all live in Buckingham Palace, for God's sake, and still have a weekend home.
Yes.
That's nice.
Yes.
And all the others for the security. I mean, you're taking the mickey, guy. Like, you're taking the mick, mate.
I love the way you've warmed up the longer this call has gone on. It's like, it's lovely.
It's my thing. It's my thing.
Is
And it's just.
Because you can't. I don't know. I mean, listen. I really want someone to try and sort of spike your guns. I want someone to explain why you're wrong. The idea that there is something fundamentally counterintuitive about a future king trying to solve homelessness while keeping all his palaces. Come on, if you put it like that, what have you got? Thank you.
Yes, thank you. If you put it like that, what have you got? As you can see, James O'Brien was laughing himself silly at the very notion of it because of how ridiculous it is. And again, thank you, Feminegra. They actually added this the link for that to their to the article that I just shared with you. But it is the height of ridiculousness, the height of hypocrisy, that the Prince of Wales, who just inherited a $1 billion duchy and supposedly makes about 30 million pounds a year. Well, did I say a dollar? I meant 30 billion pound duchy. And he makes about 30 million pounds a year. What he does with that, I have no clue. But and this was the report as of 2023. And since then, at the rate that he's going, William seems to be adding another home about every 2 years since he's been married. He adds another home every 2 years. Every 2 years, he's got another home. So at that rate, by the time he reaches his 20th anniversary, gosh, he'll be up to what, 10 homes by then, something like that? 10, 11? So it is fascinating, and that the press does not ridicule him. The press is not verbally harassing him about it. They're giving him a free pass. This makes absolutely no sense whatsoever. And that he, with his total lack of vision, lack of self-awareness, that he's okay with it. That it seems totally legitimate to him. He doesn't see a problem with it. That is outrageous. That is outrageous. The first thing that you should do is try to live a little bit more austere than to keep collecting properties. I mean, who doesn't want to live in a castle with a tennis court so that Kate and Charlotte, who fancies tennis, can go and play tennis whenever they want? Don't they have any other royal tennis courts? I mean, Catherine doesn't work. What else does she do? She can just drive them on over there. Unbelievable. And again, that they get away with it. They say that Harry and Meghan are the privileged ones. They're spoiled. They're this, they're that. But how do you justify this? How do you justify it? Housing insecurity is not caused by a lack of awareness. It stems from policy decisions, budget cuts, and decade-long withdrawal of social housing investment. Yet Homewards rarely addresses these structural factors. Instead, the campaign focuses on community coalitions and early interventions in schools. This may reflect William's position as a constitutional royal. He cannot openly criticize the government without breaching protocol, but it also limits his scope of what Homewards can achieve. Critics argue that without confronting political realities, the program will never move beyond pilot projects and televised optimism. The press keeps cleaning up the contradictions. British media plays a central role in softening the disconnection. Media outlets like Marie Claire praise William for his devotion to homelessness while simultaneously promoting his next real estate move. Every new house is framed as necessary for the children. Or Kate's tennis hobby. And you know what? That is so true. It is always because they're raising the future king. It's always because Kate will be queen, and they're raising the next king, and they always have these cock and bull excuses. Always. It is never without. Oh, and don't forget schools. It's close to the school. These headlines ran side by side showing William promoting a homeless documentary while reportedly eyeing a 30-room mansion for his own family. Let me show you what that looks like. Please let me show you what that looks like. I got to show this to you. If I don't show it to you, you may not actually understand what we're saying here. Let me see. That didn't work out. Let me try it again. Okay. Let me try that one more time. There we go. That's what it looks like. So on the one hand, Prince William says he wants to challenge homelessness while promoting a new documentary. On the other hand, Princess Kate and Prince William might trade peaceful refuge of Adelaide Cottage for a Gothic revival mansion complete with a tennis court and a swimming pool and a Starbucks, a 24-hour discotheque, and also a S&M's or no, and a Booth's Pharmacy in the bathroom. Everything that a growing family needs. And then the one thing that William just cannot pass up, although he's never tried to pass up, a 24-hour pulled pork sandwich. Yes, anytime William chooses to have a pulled pork sandwich, all he has to do is just ring the mobile and the and a pulled pork sandwich will be provided for him immediately. So that is what you can expect with this next move. All the pulled pork sandwiches you could want. Oh, they're going to have pulled pork sandwiches swinging from the chandeliers, pulled pork sandwiches in the driveway. And of course, when the kids are away at Buckleberry, there's going to be pulled pork sandwiches all around the swimming pool. You name it. They're going to have pulled pork sandwiches galore. I tell you, the life of Billy Idol, Bone Idol Billy. So, in closing, the double standard is obvious. When Harry and Meghan renovated Frogmore Cottage, they faced a media storm even after repaying costs. Meanwhile, William's expanding property access goes largely unquestioned. Press coverage spin palatial estate as cozy and billion-pound land portfolio as family essentials. William cannot have it both ways. If he wants to be seen as genuine advocate for housing justice, he must show restraint in how he acquires and uses royal properties. Homewards may have noble goals, but the campaign risks collapse under the weight of royal excess. Until the palaces stop multiplying, the prince's message will continue to sound hollow. So, there you go. Thank you, Feminegra. As usual, it was very, very well thought out and very, very well written. Okay. Now, take a look here. Leaked funeral plans exposes royal lies. King Charles wants Harry and Meghan front row. We're going to do that one and move on to another topic in quick succession. As, of course, you may recognize the notorious DJT or JD, that guy right there, who is always amazing when it comes to articulating his message. Okay, and let's go. Let's do this here.
So now we know King Charles's funeral plans were leaked. And guess who's front and center in them? Harry and Meghan. And before you try to spin this as protocol or politeness, let me stop you right there. Funeral plans for a monarch are meticulously crafted. Years in advance. Nothing gets included unless it's intentional, which means Charles himself made sure the Sussexes were written into the final chapter of his reign. This wasn't a last-minute PR stunt. This was a choice, a legacy decision. And let's be clear, you don't include estranged family in your own funeral unless you're either reconciling behind the scenes or you never cut them off to begin with. And given that the king's top aide was recently caught at a peace summit with Meghan's team at a private London club, this wasn't some one-off olive branch. This is part of a larger strategy. It also exposes the lie the press has been selling for years, that Harry and Meghan are irrelevant, rejected, exiled. If that were true, why are they included in the most sacred royal ceremony of all? Why is Charles trying to suppress that information? Because the palace didn't want the public to know. They were desperate to keep it quiet. Charles's comms chief spent 24 hours trying to shut down the story, even pressured the royal rota, and threatened future access to journalists who covered it. That's not discretion. That's damage control. And let's not ignore the timing. King Charles is battling cancer. The inclusion of both sons at his funeral, no matter what tabloid drama you've been fed, isn't just a royal gesture. It's a father making sure his story ends the way he wants it to. Unified, resolved, global, historical. You don't have to like Harry and Meghan, but you can't deny this. They are still central to the monarchy's long-term narrative. Behind the headlines and the smear campaigns, the institution is still using them because they know their global power, their reach, and their relevance. So while the palace publicly presents the Sussexes are done, behind closed doors, they've already been written into the crown's final act. And that's the real royalty. So now we know King Charles's funeral plans were leaked. And guess who's front and center in them? Harry and Meghan. And before you try to spin this as protocol or politeness, let me stop you right there. Funeral plans for a...
Okay, sorry about that. Again, that was the notorious JTB. And as usual, he expressed himself extremely well. So, Heroes Homecoming. The Team Great Britain, or the, you know what I mean, they're back. Now, when I saw this, and listen, I don't have a problem with the English flag, right? The red cross on the white background. But now people are, let me just say, there are certain parts of the community where they get uncomfortable when they see that because of the EDL, the English Defense League. And sometimes people are uncomfortable with the Union Jack. Here in the United States, when we see the rebel flag, that tends to make certain people in the US uncomfortable, which is a real shame because the flag itself does not represent that. But when let's say white supremacists gather, they use that as a way to rally like-minded people, and that's when it becomes problematic, is because of the way that it's used. So recently, this African American lady was waiting for someone to do some work on her house, and she, politely told him, "I cannot have you service my house today because of the flag." And he's like, "Well, I could take it down." She said, "No, it's gone beyond that." Well, he had this gigantic rebel flag on the back of his truck, like he was in a parade or something. When I say huge, I mean it was like the size of those flags. And she wasn't having any of it. She just told him, "Please leave." So it's a real shame that it's come to that point, where someone else's patriotism, sometimes it can translate into radicalism, I guess. But as soon as I looked at that, the first thing that jumped out, I'm like, "Oh, I see." See, they got the flags up, huh? Not the Union Jack, but those. That's an interesting choice. So anyway, that's it. I'm sure they meant nothing by it, and that's yes, the flag of St. George. That's exactly what it is. It's the flag of St. George. I'm sure that it wasn't meant as any type of provocation or anything like that, but I was just curious why they didn't use the Union Jack. But there you go. There you go. I'm sure that there'll be some people making comments about that. Oh, you saw that little clip on the social media? Yeah, that was a bad choice to show up like that. That was not a good choice. I mean, he's coming to a black family's house with the big rebel flag. And, for anyone in the community seeing that vehicle outside of her house, it would have been embarrassing for her to have someone like that service her house. I mean, the rebel flag, I wish that it was just about Southern pride and nothing else. But it starts off with Southern pride and it ends with white supremacy. And so, I guess because everything is so polarizing nowadays, we find ourselves looking at little inanimate objects like that and thinking, "Oh my God, it's a rally. It's a it's a Klan rally right here at my house." Hmm. Okay, so that's why they have the St. George flag, because they're the lionesses, and the lion represents England, the unicorn represents Scotland, and the dragon represents Wales. And what do they use for Northern Ireland? Do they use the harp or something like that? Or the thistle? I think that's what it is, right? The thistle. Okay. Well, anyway, you guys, if I could quote Her Majesty the Queen, Queen Elizabeth, um, where is she at? Recollections may vary. Yeah, recollections may vary. Hello, Perlina Answers. Okay. Like I said, I'm sure it's harmless. Now, got another soundbite for you. Prince William and Princess Kate's Scottish summer plans revealed. I love this lady. I love her. She has a very dry sense of humor, but it is hilarious.
Oh dear. When you're on your 8th holiday of the year and it's not even the 8th month and you're on holiday more than you work, what exactly are you on holiday from? I'm going to get a lot of critical comments and a lot of people saying how much they do for the country. Yeah, but they just like spending a lot of time out of it. And how did they get to their latest holiday on a £450 million German-built super yacht owned by a sheik from Abu Dhabi? Surely Prince William and his family didn't travel there by private jet. That would be embarrassing, wouldn't it? You know, what with Prince William and his Earthshot project telling us plebs how to be green. Yeah, I'm sure the 146-metre long super yacht with 2 helipads doesn't use much energy. They're on holiday till September. Why? Have they suddenly lost all their butlers, servants, cleaners and nanny? I know Princess Kate has just lost her personal assistant, but does that mean she can't be seen in public because she doesn't know how to dress herself? I wonder what the attraction of Greece was. Maybe he really just wanted to drop in on some of his relatives.
Okay, so that is It's Sad. What is that? It's a Daisy Life. Yeah, It's a Daisy Life. And she's on TikTok. And when she said they want to drop by and visit some of their relatives, that's when she shared that image of the Prince of Greece and Denmark, Prince Philip. Philip of Greece and Denmark, or is it Denmark and Greece? Guess they couldn't make up their mind. Oh, well. What's that, Helen G? Brits won't be making comments as we know there are 4 separate teams, England, Scotland, Ireland, and Wales. Okay, yeah. You know, it makes sense then. It makes sense. I mean, after all, if it was any of the other countries, they would have used the what is it? What do they call the Scottish flag? I forget what they call it. But they would have used that, or they would have used the Welsh flag if it was a team from Wales. So, yeah, it is the United Kingdom, United 4 kingdoms, right? Not like the United States, where it's 4 states. I mean, 50 states. But yeah, I mean, it's different. We never consider the individual states as having their own, you know, although I don't know why we don't, because each state, you know, in theory is like their own territory, but, you know, they're under one constitution, if you will, one written constitution. I don't know. I'd be here all day trying to explain the difference, but yeah, okay. So I guess that's why they have the flag there. I've never seen it on display like that after a championship. That's why it looks so odd to me. But I mean, it's just like so prominent. You know what I mean? I've never seen it on display like that. Okay, and guess who else do we have? I didn't realize I had all of these back to back. I should have spaced them out, but okay, here we go again. Morning. Okay, the only big difference is this time I'm not going to go and get a snack. I'm going to just stay here. Kind of full now. Oh, you guys are so lucky. Guess what? I didn't even save that one. I did not save it, so I cannot share it. I'll have to do it tomorrow. Oh, well. Okay, let's keep moving then. Well, Prince Harry and Meghan. Yes, if it isn't Robert, where's my CPAP Jobson? I love this picture of Robert Jobson. This was when he actually called into the television one day. If I didn't know better, I would swear that he was over at Heathrow sitting inside the loo speaking into his phone. That's what it looks like. He looks like he's sitting on the toilet right now, sweating profusely and trying to have a conversation about Harry and Meghan. I mean, after all, they pay them for those appearances on TV, right? So when they say, you're on, you're on. And I'm pretty sure that he, you know what I'm trying to say. I'm not saying that's where he is. I'm just saying that's what it looks like. Okay, I repeat. I'm not saying that's where he is. I'm just saying that that's what it looks like. Okay. So Robert Jobson, who is barely sitting, actually, he barely sits on anything. He's more close to it than he is sitting on it. It's kind of like he's teetering or leaning, but rarely does he ever just sit on something, to the relief of the furniture that was in line of sight, of course. But it's very rare that he just sits on something. Anyway, he made some comments about our faves that caught my attention. Of course it did. And I am going to sort him out about it. Let me see, where is it? Yeah, I feel the need to sort him out. Okay, so Jobson, no one knows Prince. Okay, no one will know Prince Harry in a decade. He'll be a bald 50-year-old prince, right? As he gasps to the world's attention. So he says, through all of that heavy breathing and respiratory stuff, he was trying to say that no one will know who Harry is in 50 years. Kind of like when Robert Jobson was in grade school, nobody, and I do mean nobody, thought that he would make it all the way to whatever age he is, and people would not be able to find his neck. But there we are. So you can tell he kind of made me mad today, right? So Robert Jobson is King Charles' longtime biographer. A lot of royal reporters take sides between the Left Behind Windsors, and Jobson has always been on Charles and Camilla's side. In my opinion, Chuck and Cam have used Jobson to get some unflattering information out about Prince William and Kate in recent years. So I find it interesting that Jobson has been so chatty in recent weeks about King Charles's and Prince Harry's potential reconciliation. And now Jobson is talking a lot about Harry's career prospects, or something Jobson basically says that in the next few years, all of the focus is going to be on the Wells's kids. Sure, if you say so. All right. So this, of course, is from Kaiser of Celibacy. Now, let me give you the Robert Jobson. This is what Robert Jobson said. Hold on, let me take a drink. Okay. As Prince Harry and Duchess Meghan Markle lose their $100 million Netflix deal, royal experts, oh wait, is that a quote from him? Royal experts say the future looks dire for the couple's prospects. It was once seen as a secure form of income for the Duke and Duchess of Sussex, but now experts say it's a sign that their time is running out. Speaking on the Sun Royal Exclusive show, Robert Jobson said Prince Harry's popularity is dwindling as the public focuses attention on the younger royals. Prince William's children, George, Charlotte, and Louis. He says, I, and that's just him drawing in the breath. He says, I think the show's moving on. When we're talking about when we were in New Zealand all those years ago, he was a big noise then. The vibe was all positive about him. The vibe isn't positive about him now. Robert added that the couple were trying to monetize their celebrity status as they know other royals will soon take the limelight. Okay, so this is Robert Jobson again. They're 40 years old. They're not young royals. The royal expert explained they're different now. The vibe is different. The whole mood and shift will go on to George, Charlotte, and Louis, and they will become really, frankly, a bit part players. They'll become frankly bit part players, should I say. Now they won't like that. Now they won't like that. And that's probably what this is all about, making sure they've got a presence, a brand to monetize, because pretty soon they're going to be really so far removed from the main game, they're not going to be able to get as much money out of being royals. So listen, you guys, Robert Jobson is saying all of this, but he does not believe that. He does not believe it. After having conversations with Charles and Camilla, after eating at their table and drinking their wine and breaking their furniture, Robert Jobson waddled away from the conversations and decided to go nuclear. The Times royal correspondent Valentine Lowe wrote the book Courtiers, The Hidden Power Behind the Crown, and revealed Prince Harry feared he was becoming irrelevant. An insider told the author he had his thing, that he had a shelf life. He was fixed on this. He would compare himself with his uncle, Prince Andrew. He would say, I have this time to make this impact because I can until George turns 18. Speaking on the Sun's royal show, Robert agreed, adding, he'll be bald, 50-year-old Prince, someone formerly known as Prince. That's what he will be. They'll be thinking, who is this guy? They won't even know who he is. Now, okay. That's very interesting. Thank you, Mary H. And if anybody thinks that people are not going to try to see what those cool California cousins are up to, there's no way. There is no way that anything is ever going to get boring in California. But okay. So Celibici closes this article like this. They're thinking, who is this guy? They won't even know who he is. I remember seeing a video which got wide circulation on social media back in 2021. It was right after Prince Philip passed away, and a group of young British men, podcasters, I believe, were sitting around talking about how they thought Prince Charles was Queen Elizabeth's husband. And they were like, then who's this geezer who just died? My point. These royal reporters really overestimate how much people are actually paying attention to the left behind in general now. I actually think Jobson is doing some wishful thinking in both directions. He hopes that Harry and Meghan become less important and less famous. But there's also a backhand acknowledgement that William isn't going to be some big draw either. The royalists hope that George, Charlotte, and Louis will be charismatic and interesting. But even if those kids grow up to be the biggest draws of the British monarchy, I guarantee people like Jobson will still be obsessing over Harry and Meghan in 9 years' time. Okay? They will still be obsessing over Harry and Meghan. And of course, in about 9 years, whoever remodels that studio where Jobson is straddling that couch, it will probably take about 9 years to get the leg of that sofa out of the floor, because right now I think it is fused into the floor. Yeah, I don't think the jaws of life will be able to get that leg out of that floor. Yeah, that sucker is wedged in there, isn't it? Oh, well, so much for Robert Jobson. Like I say, he's doing the bidding of Clarence House. There are too many people that have watched Prince Harry grow up, right? There are too many people that have watched Prince Harry grow up. And there are millions of people who have just put suits in the stratosphere. There are at least 1 billion people that have watched their wedding, whether they watched it live or whether they streamed it later. But there's about 1 billion people, I guarantee you, 1 billion people who have watched their wedding. Unlike the Wellses or the Cambridge wedding, by the time the Sussex is married, smartphones were everywhere. People have been able to stream it again and again if they choose. So just by virtue of that being the most recent big wedding, the biggest since Princess Diana, then of course, as let me see, it was 1981 when Diana got married. I woke up early that day and recorded it on a VHS tape. I still have the tape of the entire broadcast from ABC. I believe it was Barbara Walters and Peter Jennings. I have the entire broadcast from that day. I've watched it several times. And I said to myself then, if I'm ever able to go and be at a royal wedding, I would just love to stand in the crowd and watch everything, watch history go by. And guess what? All those years later, I did witness a royal wedding. I did stand in the crowd and I watched history go by. But it wasn't for Will and Kate. I wasn't thinking about Will and Kate. There was nothing inside of me that said, be there for Will and Kate. Nothing. And the same way I was there for them in 1981, there were people here for Harry and Meghan in 2018. So they're not going to fade from anybody's consciousness, no matter what Jobo says. So why all of a sudden are we doing all these rosé wine tastings? Why? Because the most influential royal on the planet has released a rosé. There was no big competition when they sold rosé from Highgrove. Nobody was interested in the Highgrove rosé. And interestingly enough, I don't think there's a bottle of it there either. I don't think it was a bottle on the last survey. So, again, it must just be something about Meghan. There's got to be something there. Otherwise, why are we here? If there's not something there, then why are we here? Why are we here? Why are we watching what we thought were reasonable, intelligent people, why are we watching them losing their minds over rosé? Obsessing over it, complaining about it, celebrating it, whatever they're doing. As Ted Sarandos said, whether you like them or hate them, you still watch. You're still watching them. And at the end of the day, that's what matters. We don't all have to agree to love this person or that person, but at the end of the day, you're still watching them. You're still watching them. And I have some good news on that score coming up. Check it out. 15-minute drive from Windsor Castle, less than an hour from Clarence House. Why is she arriving by helicopter? Her Majesty Queen Camilla has arrived at Ascot ahead of the the head of the featured King George VI and Queen Elizabeth stakes. Okay. Ouch. Oh Lord. Anyway, again, why is she taking a helicopter? It's right there. You know why? Because she can. Because she can. Never mind that Charles is hoping that people are going to mention at his funeral how he was one of the first voices to mention the devastation of what's happening to our planet, right? He is the environmental king, yet he lives, acts, and conducts himself in a totally different way. But who is the one that is called the hypocrite? Who is the one that is constantly criticized? Or should I say, who are the people that are constantly criticized? Number one, Harry. Although I've never heard Harry say anything about carbon emissions. I've never heard him mention that. Number two, the Duchess of Sussex. I have never been able to find anywhere where Meghan has said anything about the environment. She's too busy thinking about women and children and quality of life things. That's not her thing. But yet, she's lumped together with Harry and thrown into whatever criticism that comes out. They call her a hypocrite for something she never said. I wait time and time again to see where they quote either Harry or Meghan, even the derangers. I wait to see some quote about them saying something about carbon emissions, and the only thing Harry has is his travelers, which is giving it empowers the consumer to make choices about how you and I will impact the world we live in terms of carbon emission, sustainability, as well as even choosing where to vacation. Like right now, they're saying that there's too much pressure being put on Venice, right? So if you're aware of that, as much as you want to see Venice, maybe you'll go someplace else. As much as you want to see Venice again, make a return trip, maybe you'll go someplace else where it's not such a heavy impact on the community. Because travelers is not just about carbon emissions, it's also about sustaining the communities where people travel. It's also about that. But that is something that you will never hear from the tabloid media. They're more preoccupied with their constant, unnecessary criticism about things that Harry and Meghan have never said, ever. I cannot find any references to it. I don't see any place where Harry has lectured people about the environment. He just encourages people to take responsibility. But in the end, it doesn't matter. None of that matters when a lie will do. This is Gladys's house. This is Camilla's place right here. Matter of fact, let me go back. I didn't mention it, but right there on the right side, that is Queen Camilla, the Queen Consorts. That is her lair. That is Camilla's lair. That is her property. That is her personal property that she purchased after she divorced her husband, Tom Parker Bowles, was it? Andrew Parker Bowles. Yeah, Andrew Parker Bowles. That is her personal property. Yep. She owns it lock, stock, and barrel. Has a swimming pool and all kind of stuff. And it also has a command center for her security. I'm going to guess, well, I'm not going to say which building that I think it is, but I think I see it. But yeah, there's a command center for her security, her royal protection provided by the taxpayers. And those are her blackamoor, well, at least one, possibly two blackamoor accessories in her home. You have this huge blackamoor lamp that greets you in the what is that? The main hall there. And then if you look at the top of the steps, I think I see something else. I'm not sure. Anyway, it's a lovely space, although I think those flowers look tacky as anything I've ever seen. But how much you want to bet those flowers are plastic? How much you want to bet Gladys went down to the pound store and picked up a handful of those flowers? You know, she always looked tacky to me, and I still think she's one of the tackiest people that ever lived. Prince Harry, quiet peace offering to royal family revealed amid hopes for reconciliation. The Duke of Sussex aides recently met with the King's communications secretary. Anyway, y'all know all that. Prince Harry has reportedly offered to share his official schedule of engagements and outings with the royal family in what appears to be the latest attempt to ease tensions between the sides after years of estrangement. The proposal would allow transparency, but the Duke of Sussex scheduled events avoiding conflicts between Harry and Meghan Markle's Sussex public outings and the British royal family's engagements, and therefore claims of trying to overshadow each other. Reports in the Daily Mail Sunday, according to the outlet, Prince Harry's recent visit to Angola dominated newspapers, bumping off Queen Camilla's 78th birthday coverage. Now, there is a hole in this story so big that you could drive a truck through it. You could drive a truck through that story. That's how big it is. A big gaping hole, big enough for the Lusitania to fit through it. And you know what it is, right? Okay, well, let me help you out. So they say that Harry thought it would be a good idea for them to share their schedule with one another so that they wouldn't bump each other off of the front pages. Oh. Okay, so I could understand the palace hoping to gain access to the Sussexes' schedule, but I don't see where it would be to the advantage of the Sussexes because they're the ones that do the bumping almost exclusively. They are the ones that are doing the bumping. They're not getting bumped, they are bumping the other folks. So why would they be worried about whether or not the rest of the family is doing something that day. I mean, the only way, well, I was going to say that, but you know what? That didn't work either because here you go. Queen Elizabeth died and still played second fiddle to Harry and Meghan. So I was going to say about the only thing that they could do to steal attention away from them is to die. But as morbid as that sound, it wouldn't work anyway. Because when the Queen died, the only thing that they could think of is where is Harry and Meghan? So you can tell by the disposition of this young lady right here how ridiculous that sounds. In addition, sharing diaries would also hint toward two camps finding time for Prince Harry and King Charles to meet in person. The father and son were last together in February 2024 when the Duke of Sussex flew from California to the UK to see the king following the announcement of the monarch's cancer diagnosis. After a brief meeting between the two at Clarence House, Harry left the UK a day after his arrival. The Duke and Duchess of Sussex's office declined to comment when reached by People magazine. So that's why I say there is a hole in that story. Look at that face. Mm-hmm. Hmm. Mm-hmm. 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 Anyway, there's a hole in that story. It doesn't make sense to me. It seems to me that they're trying to use coercion. They're saying sharing diaries would also hint toward the two camps finding time for Harry and his father to get together. It's almost as if they're leaking or briefing to People magazine. Tell them that if they share their diary with us, the king may find time to meet with his son. But if they don't share the diary, there won't be a meeting. That's what it sounds like to me, is that they're trying to do a little arm twisting or coercion, if you will, to send a message to the Sussexes. Either you start sharing your schedule or the king will never meet with you. That's what it sounds to me like, an ultimatum. I say this. I say this. Let me word this carefully. How do I want to put this? If they give up that information, the very stealthy way that they have planned things would suddenly compromise their security. Them moving with stealth is what keeps them safe. People finding out at the absolute last opportune moment that the Sussexes are going to Colombia or the Sussexes are going to Nigeria. That is the best way to do things. Them finding out at the last minute that the Sussexes are going to Canada, right? When they did that 1 year countdown, I don't think we were privileged to that any sooner than necessary. Harry pops up in China. Because if they could do it, the tabloids would put one of their people on every aircraft leaving California, headed toward whatever destination. They would do their best to get a reporter on that plane. If they have to blanket all of them, they will do it. They would approach the flight crew asking for things. They will do whatever they can to get some inside information. They would speak to any private carriers or whatever. Now, of course, it's kind of hard to hide flying a plane because you have to submit a manifest, and that is a matter of public record and such, especially if you know the tail number of the aircraft. It's very easy to trace that to an individual, um, unless they're flying with someone else or whatever. But yeah, they would get too much access to the Sussexes, and Harry, the soldier, the strategist, and Meghan, nobody's damn fool. I just think they're a little bit too sharp for that. If this young lady on the screen knows better, I'm pretty sure that Harry and Meghan know better. So I don't believe it. I really, really do not believe it. I think that that is probably a public address to a public way to address something that would help the palace out. Maybe they've asked privately and didn't get the satisfaction. So putting that out there publicly, the next time when Harry says, I could not see my father, then they could say, oh, well, if you would have just given us your itinerary, blah, blah, blah. See what I mean? They're trying to catch him out. They are trying to catch him out. They are trying to impose something on them that they cannot refuse unless Harry wants to risk not seeing his father. That's why it's unfortunate that they know that that's important to him, because it seems to me like now they're going to try to use it against him. That's what it looks like. I'm not saying 100% that's what it is, but to my untrained, bloodshot, pessimistic, sarcastic, what else the other one I'm looking for? Anyway, that's what it looks like to me. Yeah, my pessimistic, sarcastic, cynical, bloodshot eyes, it looks to me like they're trying to use a little coercion so they can say, well, I wanted to, we tried to work something out, but that's what it seems like to me. We were trying to work something out, but you didn't want to listen. You didn't hear us out. And of course, Royal Sussex says, go to hell. Go to hell. Take that human mattress with you. Go to hell. Yep. Take that old shriveled up tea bag with you. Go straight to hell. We're not buying. Take that old, what do you call it? Warped, waterlogged handbag and go straight to hell with it. Nobody's buying that. Of course, I'm speaking to the courtiers, not to their majesties. I wouldn't dare disrespect the king and queen like that. I'm speaking about their courtiers, not not Gladys and Fred. I wouldn't dare use that kind of language with those two pathetic people. I have too much respect for them. Oh, I feel acid coming up the back of my throat. Let me drink something. Oh, there we go. That should settle it. I don't know what happened. I was just talking and I don't remember what I said, but all of a sudden acid started coming up the back of my throat. As though my body was trying to purge something. Anyway, I was talking about how much I respect I can't even say it. All right, let's go. Let's go on to something else before I bit my tongue. Some things you can just settle with a look. You know what I'm saying? Sometimes it's best to leave things to a glance. If you can just give the right glance, then you've said all that needs to be said. Amen. That's what I believe anyway. Just, just give them the look. Let me see here. The look. Where's my look? Oh, how come I can't find my look? Okay, where you at, look? What? The look is gone. Oh, well. Oh, is that it? No, it ain't. Bad boys, what you gonna do? Bad boys. Oh, there we go. I think I did that wrong. All right, let me try it again. Okay, this is how you do it. See what I'm saying? See what I'm saying? See how that makes you feel anxious? You just give them that look. Well, we thought we would that you could share your itineraries so that there won't be any overlap in our schedules. You know what? Next time they have another one of those summits, I want her to go. I want her to go. Yeah, I need her for the summit. Yes. I think we can get a lot further if we send this nice lady to the summit. She seems more than capable of the task. Mm-hmm. Yep. That's the one I want right there. Carlene Beckford, good morning to you too. Oh, was that through with that? In addition, oh yeah, I did. Prince Harry's cancer diagnosis, Clarence House. Okay, yeah, I was through with that. Now, I found this today. You know, sometimes in my archive, I'll find stuff I didn't know that I would even use, but this seemed very appropriate. Hello, this is your reminder that literally everything the royal family do is about PR. They are not neutral marketing. Misleading the public and controlling narratives around themselves are absolutely central to their identity and their success. If something feels like an advert, that's because it's an advert. If something feels off, that's because it's off. If something feels like a cover up, that's because it's a cover up. If something feels like a distraction, that's because it's a distraction. Stop looking at our monarchy as if it's the little old special family who's just so happens to be born into royalty, and start seeing them for what they are. Okay, Dr. Jessica Taylor. There you go. If it looks strange, that's because it is. Whatever you think it looks like, that's probably because that's what it is. That is what it is. I got this one for you.
Move on to talking of Harry and Meghan, and they've got this Netflix deal, haven't they? And it's just been all over the papers, both here in America, abroad, international press, everything, saying they've been binned by Netflix, their popularity has plummeted and all that sort of stuff. Actually, it's coming to the end of the contract and no one actually knows what's happening, do they?
No, I mean, they signed a 5-year contract when they left the royal family, and that was to give Netflix content. Now, arguably, we're looking here at Love Meghan, which was a great success and talked about, but the contract will naturally come to an end at some point. The other content they provided, of course, was a very big talking point, which was that 6-part series about them leaving the royal family. That was hugely watched as well. So I don't think you can argue that Netflix hasn't got their money's worth out of these two. There's been an Invictus one as well, one about polo. But, you know, the contract's going to come to an end. If they're in negotiations for what happens next, well, no one's going to talk about that, are they? It's to do with Netflix's own, you know, finances. It's to do with what Harry and Meghan do or do not want to do. So they're in contract negotiations. So we wait to find out what happens next.
I mean, we do know that as ever, there will be a second series of With Love Meghan in the autumn. But Netflix have also partnered with As Ever. They're brand partners. So they do have that ongoing.
So it's financially in their interest for As Ever to be a huge success. As you were saying in the newsroom earlier, you can't get hold of any of the products because they've all sold out. They're sold out. That might be because they are, you know, restricting the supply, as you know, clever businesses sometimes do. But you can't argue that it's not being a great success for her at the moment.
And also the reality is, when it comes to the press and the royals, you know, there'll always be a section of the media who will make stories out of not very much and sources that have no connection to the royal family whatsoever.
Absolutely. Oh my golly, the amount of people who are pretending to be royal commentators or experts in the royal field. And I look at them and I think, have you ever actually met a member of the royal family or not? But yeah, absolutely.
But it sells papers in it, and it does well.
I was a bit worried you were going to say like these two.
Let's move on to...
Oh boy, what a bunch of phonies. But no, actually, that was a very constructive conversation. Even Chris Shipp with a P, not a T, was on his best behavior. It was an honest dialogue. I like that. They were being very honest. And the lady in blue, that's the one who said, you know, everybody pretends to be a royal expert. How many of them have ever even met a member of the royal family? And that is a good question, because I think that may have been directed at Schofield. And I'm not talking about Philip. I think that may have been directed towards Schofield, because you have someone who is either from California or lives in LA or Hollywood or whatever, that pretends to be some type of royal expert. I've even seen her introduced as a royal expert. Well, I got, you know, probably 2 or 3 decades on her in terms of, you know, life. And I've been keeping up with this stuff since I was in high school. So I think I'm better placed than she is to discuss such matters. But then again, I'm not trying to, you know, amuse or entertain the derangers. The derangers, they're not satisfied unless you hear that the moving trucks were outside of their Montecito manor, and that they were last seen headed toward a suburban subdivision somewhere in Ohio or Toledo or no, I got a good one for you. Some subdivision in Topeka, Kansas. How about that? The moving trucks. Did you hear the moving trucks took Harry and Meghan's stuff to some subdivision in Topeka, Kansas? Yeah, it was all over the news. Something about their Netflix deal. So that's the only thing that would satisfy them. And even then, they will still have something to complain about. Oh, did they? Really? They called him the Sussex mouthpiece? Aren't the comment sections fun? I love the comment sections. Oh my goodness. I'm going to have to try to look for that then. I love the comment sections. Oh, well. Okay, Netflix. Check it out. I told you I had some good news. Netflix break into top 3 media distributors for the first time in Nielsen's June 2025 survey, media distribution, whatever. But anyway, congratulations, Netflix. So you guys, next time you hear all of the doom and gloom and the nonsense that they say about Netflix and, oh, I've already disconnected mine. I've already stopped my Netflix. I'll never watch Netflix again. They say all that stuff, but especially if they have a family. I'm pretty sure that most teenagers are able to keep their Netflix account going, even though I don't think they're supposed to have one, but they can just borrow someone else's. I mean, they're going to watch Netflix no matter what. Netflix is in 3rd place, and that is network aggregated views of total TV usage by media companies. So YouTube is number 1, not a surprise. And I think all of the Disney products, I think that's the 2nd one. Actually, you know what would be easier? This. Okay, so you got YouTube number 1, Disney Company number 2, and that includes their let me see, ABC, right? That would be under the umbrella, or actually ABC is under their umbrella. So you got ABC, which includes other, channels. And then of course there's Netflix. And Netflix has 8.3% of the market. Walt Disney, who also has a streaming service or 2, or 3 or 4, they get 10%. And YouTube have a whopping 12.8%. And then NBC Universal, 7.8, Paramount, 7.2, Fox, 6.9, and Time Warner Brothers Discovery, they have 6.4, Amazon, 3.7, that would be Prime, and whatever else they offer. Roku, 2%. And Scripps, I've never heard of that, 2%. 1.3 for Weigel. A&E, Arts and Entertainment Network, 1.1%. Hallmark, 1%. And AMC Networks, 0.8%. Isn't this fascinating? I knew you'd be impressed. So there's Netflix, and let's just say they have 8 times what Hallmark has, right? Or they have 4 times what what's that other one? More than twice as much as Amazon. So yeah, they're in a good position. And I don't think they have any other services to lean on. So everything is going right through their, that one source. But I want to point out something else here while we're at it. You do know that Disney and all those others that made movies, their movies used to go through Netflix. If they hadn't stripped Netflix away from their access to their, their movies and such, then Netflix would probably have about 20% of the market. But when they saw that Netflix was making so much money, they were just like, okay, we got enough material. We can get in on our own streaming service. And that's exactly what they've done. So, but unlike, let's say, NBC Universal, or unlike Paramount or some of those others, they did not, start off having a large library of films. They have done a bunch of original programming, and that was a stroke of genius. All of that original programming paid off. But let me say this, though, before you pat them on the back for that, HBO and Showtime, they were doing original programming long before Netflix. HBO had productions years ago, because when you do show those movies on your platform, of course, you got to pay for the rights for it. So it's not to say that they will never show things made from Paramount or Disney or something like that, but they're not going to get the prime things that are going to draw people to get a subscription unless they pay a lot of money for it. But either way, Netflix is in good shape. And I'm glad to see this, because it just lets you know that in spite of everything the derangers, these forecasts that they make about Netflix and how they're going to drop their support and everything, Netflix is chugging right along. I think one of the best times for Netflix was during the global pandemic, when people were staying home and watching television more often. But, since then, everyone has kind of, shifted, and it's seasonal too. When the kids are out of school, they watch more streaming services. But yeah, not surprised that YouTube is number one, only because YouTube is, it's a more individual programming, and like Royal Sussex. I mean, think about it. If you're watching Royal Sussex, you're probably not watching ABC. You know what I mean? If you're watching, any of the other streamers, content creators, then you're not looking at legacy television. So legacy television is sinking like a stone, and YouTube is growing bigger by the day. And I don't even see TikTok mentioned here. Did you notice TikTok is not here? Yeah, where's TikTok? Now, it says here, Netflix is on the rise as the streamer shares of television viewing in June ranked in the top 3 among media companies for the first time in Nielsen's media distributor, Gauge report. Gauge report. Gauge. Anyway, Netflix posted the largest monthly share increase across all media companies this month, adding 0.8 points from May to represent 8.3 of June's TV usage total, and its largest share of television since January 2025. So the report in Nielsen's The Gauge, is that Gauge or Gouge? Gauge. It's Gauge, right? Why does that look funny to me? While time spent watching streaming content in June was up over 5% compared to May, Netflix viewership surged 13.5% over the same period. Netflix viewing was powered by a packed slate of fresh content. Remember I said they're making their own content, and that has made a huge difference, as well as the usual summer increase in streaming heavy viewers ages 6 through 17 because the kids are out of school. Don't forget, the kids are out of school, so they're streaming. So there you go. Go Netflix. Go Netflix. YouTube also received a boost from school-age audience in June and remained atop the media distribution, that funny word, ranking for the 5th consecutive month. The streamer notched the 6% monthly viewing increase over May and represented 12.8% of TV usage, its largest share of television to date, with 2.8 points lead over second place Disney. This marks YouTube's largest lead among media distributors to date. Though not unexpected, the summer viewing trend, coupled with a lack of sports and new content, resulted in similar impact across multi-platform companies this month. Disney represents 10% of total TV viewing in June and held on to the number 2 ranking among media distributors. ABC affiliates notably accounted for the top 33 broadcast telecasts in June, driven largely by the NBA Finals and the ABC World News Tonight. And NBC Universal posted the 4th largest total among media companies with 7.8 of the TV, led by the 4.4 billion minute months for its reality dating series Love Island USA. Peacock notched the 13.4 monthly viewing increase in June. Anyway, this is getting kind of boring, but there you go. Long as I know Netflix is doing okay. Now, this is what I wanted to share with you. Something else. Take a look at that. Nielsen survey. Nielsen is founded and incorporated in Chicago back in 1923. Now, you always hear people say the Nielsen ratings, right? Who is Nielsen? Well, the Nielsen family started their business back in 1923, but there was no television in 1923. They were actually doing all sorts of surveys. And when radio was popular, they began to do surveys for the radio audience. Nielsen helps customers, they purchase ad time. Like if a company wants to buy ad on your radio, Nielsen will tell them how many people are viewing, what's the percentage of the public that is listening to a particular radio station, right? And so that sustained Nielsen for a very long time. And then, what do you know? Television finally came along, and by 1950, they began keeping count of television. So in 1923, Nielsen Marketing Research and Performance Survey produced. 1924, capital increased to 45,000 to 55,000. That's how much money in 1924 Nielsen was making doing surveys. Okay, first customer marketing survey in 1929. They used to do surveys. Let me see. Nielsen launches an index to measure drug and retail stores. They were even doing surveys for retail spaces. I don't know if they still do that now, but they were doing it back then. Okay, in 1934, they started doing department stores and food indexes. Nielsen begins measuring food and department store sales in 1934. In 1935, Arthur C. Nielsen invented market share concept with auditors survey store shelves to determine sale patterns. 1936, General Store Index. Also, they acquired rights to the autometer, a device attached to the radio to record when it was on and what station was tuned in. So, in other words, in 1936, that's when they started doing surveys for radio stations. Here's a good one. Where's Church Nelly? 1938, the Liquor Index launches. They were doing a survey for liquor consumption. Where's Church Nelly? I want to see how much of that she accounts for. Okay, Nielsen opens office in UK in 1939. So in 1939, the Nielsen company opened offices in the UK. Let me see. They doubled the size of their US headquarters in 1941. Let me see. In 1944, they opened up an office in Canada. 1946, they use a new meter for the radio. 47, 48. In 1948, they opened up an office in Australia. Okay, 1950, here we go. Television. That is when they started doing index in US televisions based on the autometer. And if you want to know what the autometer was, that's it right there. That is what they used to attach to the television so that they could tell how many people were watching the television and what station that they were watching. So if you've never known how Nielsen ratings were created, when the technology caught up, they actually would attach a box to the family's television. I don't know if they gave the family the TV or not, but there were only 5,000 families in all of the United States that had this box on their television. And that box could tell Nielsen what you're watching, when you're watching, and how long you're watching it, right? So that is how they kept count. 1952, they opened an office in the Netherlands. The company headquarters increased by 60%, another 60%, I think, something like that. They opened an office in New Zealand and Belgium. So they're growing like crazy. They are making a lot of money and growing like crazy. Excuse me. Anyway, I'm going to skip all the way to the last thing that they have here. And that is what? 2003, they built a place down in Florida. And anyway, it says 95 years of innovation. But I think it's older than that now, right? Because this report was 2017. So, oh gosh, they're almost 100 years of Nielsen. It's over 100 years. If they started in 1923, then they're like 103 years old. They have been doing surveys for 103 years, right? Is my math correct? So there you go. But check it out when you have some time. It's very interesting. But whenever you hear a Nielsen rating, I just want you to know that that is what it refers to, is a company that started counting things back in 1923. And they started in Chicago, and now they're a global brand, and they make a hell of a lot of money helping broadcasters and consumers and advertisers and such figure out how much things should cost. Is curtains for Kate's style flamboyantly floral floor sweeping, and a little bit frumpy. Why is the Duchess of Cambridge dressing like a set of curtains? Now, that is so funny because I don't remember this article, and yet I have it. I wonder if this is why I started saying, what I've been saying about her. Isn't that the most garish looking dress you've ever seen? This is the photos. See those 4 photos on the left? That is what came with that article. Flamboyantly floral, floor sweeping, and a little bit frumpy. Why would somebody wear something like that? Ugh. And for those poor people in Ireland who hadn't done anything to ask for that attack on their optic nerves. What did they do to deserve being attacked like that? Kate's Country Cottage Kitchen Curtains. That's what I call it. Kate's Country Cottage Kitchen Curtains. That is the most hideous thing that I've ever seen. It reminds me of the tropical rainforest. Ooh, 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 ooh. I'm always expecting to hear like weird animal calls. And poor William. William is looking away, trying to divert his eyes away from that eyesore of a dress. I don't know why she thought that was attractive. And look at her. She's just walking in there like I'm the you know what? Y'all can't tell me nothing. I know I look good. Do you? Do you know what you look like? Oh my God. And to think that they thought that Meghan wanted their contacts. And to be honest with you, Queen Maxima of the Netherlands, if you ask me, she is one of the best dressed royals on the continent. She really is. Leticia, she has her moments. She has her moments. Mary of Denmark, that's another good one. I'm trying to think who else. But Kate Middleton does not measure up to any of them. She may have the very tall, slender frame, but what she does with it is an absolute scandal. It is. It's an abomination. It is an abomination. See there? Those I put in the search, I said Kate's Country Cottage Kitchen Curtains. Or actually I said Kate Green Country Cottage Kitchen Curtains. And these are what came up. When I put that in the search, that's what came up on the screen. And what's sad is that Kate would wear any of those. There's nothing that you see hanging from those windows that she wouldn't wear. And you couldn't tell her nothing, y'all. There's nothing there that she wouldn't wear, including that floral wreath or whatever that is. What is that? Eucalyptus? Yeah, I think that's a wreath of eucalyptus. She'd put that on and think it's cute. This is what it looks like up close. I'm sorry, I should have warned you guys, shouldn't I? But this is what it looks like up close. It is the stuff of nightmares. And then who told them those buttons was going to help things? Look at the buttons. See them on the right side? I didn't even notice that thing had buttons because I was so busy looking at everything else. I was like, well, I'll be damned. They got buttons too. All of that and buttons. That is a mess. And can you all believe this? That Kate wore this a week before Meghan returned for their farewell tour. Let me tell you what week that was. I'll show you. The week that Harry and Meghan came back for their farewell tour, Kate wore this and Meghan wore that. Seriously. In the same week. In the same decade. In the same century, okay? In the same century of the same week, in the same month, in the same decade, Meghan wore that and Kate wore this. I'm not making that up. I am not making that up. And they thought that Meghan wanted their contacts. You know, as far as clothing is concerned, I will be very fair and I'll just say that it's okay. I mean, it's a uniform for Kate. That's a uniform. Just like Queen Elizabeth with her little two-piece suits and everything, that was a uniform for her. But sometimes the Queen actually looked kind of jazzy now. She looked kind of jazzy. Sometimes she would really look exceptional. And then other times it was just like more of the same. But this right here, could you imagine Letizia of Spain or Maxima of the Netherlands or Mary of Denmark? Could you imagine any of them wearing something like that with a straight face in public amongst innocent people? Could you imagine that? You have innocent people, a people whose heritage stretches back to the days of the Viking invasions and such, a proud people that survived a potato famine and several invasions from England. Those proud people were subject to that hideous dress. And the thing that's so cruel about it is the way she snuck up on the way she snuck up on them. Because when she had that coat on, you didn't know that was underneath it, did you? And then she takes that coat off and there it is. That's what was so cruel, is that she just snuck up on them, took that coat off, and let them have it. Lock, stock, and barrel. And I say, what did those people do to deserve that? Why did that happen to them? Why were they being punished? Now, you guys, we are going to do this very sensitively and very quickly, I'm going to say too. We're not going to anyway, it's a very sensitive thing because it involves children, okay? I saw this yesterday, and I wasn't going to talk about it, but then it was kind of a big thing on TikTok, not TikTok, but Twitter today. So I decided, well, let's have a stab at it. So Princess Charlotte fans have been left wondering if she had her brunette hair lightened blonde, with her locks looking remarkably lighter in the new photograph released by the Cambridges. And Zandy Sussex says, what's with dyeing the poor child's hair? They've been doing it for years. In the latest pic, they're dyeing her into red hair. Okay. I'm just assuming that it's the lighting. And that's what I thought. Well, it's just the light. Surely they're not using, um, you know, that much change of tone to her hair. But then I started looking through my archives and I found this recent Hello magazine where you can see her hair is somewhat darker, but you can also clearly see highlights. Also, I'm not comfortable with from little princess to royal icon. I don't know why that makes me feel queasy when I see them making references like that about the children. I don't like it. I just simply do not like it. Um, Let them be kids. She's not an icon, she's a child. And then look over there. Princess Charlotte had a flood of tears. Look at her hair there. And I guess I just didn't notice it because number one, I don't be looking at people kids like that. But I guess I just didn't notice it because I didn't care. But now that the subject has been brought up, if you look on the right side, you can see her hair is relatively dark there. But then again, it looks like I see a highlight peeking out. Okay. So yeah, these were all the photos that I had to share with you. And Kate's hair looks particularly, stripped of color. Even if it's as simple as the chemicals that's used in these products, I just think it's not a good idea. I do not think it's a good idea. I don't like it. I do not like it, but that's it. So I was actually thinking that the light was making her hair look red, like, you know, Lilybet Diana's, but it almost seems very deliberate. And some people are of the opinion that this is a new form of stalking for her mother and her father, that this is a new form of stalking rather than them exclusively doing all of the things that they're putting it off on their children. Now, I don't want to believe that. I really don't want to believe that. I'm not going to say that that's what it is. I don't know. I just hope that that's not what it is. I hope it's not. Yeah. Yeah, I don't like the coloring of the hair. I don't think children should have any kind of chemicals introduced at a young age, especially while they're, they say that certain things can interfere with your hormones or whatever. And the last thing we need to do is interfere. And it's not just hair products, there's other things. There are some, forever chemicals that they say can change your DNA or whatever. So I don't know how much of that is just fear mongering, but I would rather err on the side of caution, especially when it comes with the hair and even getting the nails done. Even getting the nails done, um, you know, it should be done in a very well ventilated space, and not in a salon or something like that. I think it should be done in a very well ventilated space where you know that the air is fresh and everything like that. But like I said, I don't want to decide what's right for other people's kids. That's why I said I'm going to be very delicate about this because it's not about the child per se, but it's just the idea of, you know, changing the hair color and everything like that. But for initially, I just thought it was the light. I just was like, oh, it must be the light. But looking at some of the other photos, I could see why people believe that it may be something else going on. But again, whatever it is or is not, I do pray they leave those kids alone, let them grow up as, natural as possible, let them grow up out of the limelight whenever possible. I feel like the exposure is probably less in some ways than, no, I don't know. I don't know. I just, the parents should listen to their own instincts and not to the courtiers. The courtiers should not have any say when and where those kids are publicly shared with the world. Oh, what did I say? If they couldn't protect William from a 9-iron, I certainly don't trust them with our babies. You guys, okay, I'm going to leave this alone and get on to Gilded Age because I don't know, I should probably do Gilded Age as a separate video. I think that's what I'll do because this is already 2 hours. And maybe I'll do Gilded Age tomorrow. Although I wanted to talk about it so bad. I did. I wanted to talk about it so bad. Well, first of all, how many people are watching Gilded Age? Can we get some thumbs up? How many people are watching Gilded Age? Hey, Marshar. You know, like I said, I hate to believe that that's what it is, but okay. Now this is kind of scary. God forgive me if I'm getting this wrong, but this is scary to me. I'm not even going to say why it's scary, but I will let you all come to your own conclusions. I'm not going to say anything. Okay, Compton Compton Caligal is watching The Gilded Age. Is that it? Just us two? Well, fine. Can't believe it's only 2 of us. But I'm going to assume that there's some people who usually don't comment that have been watching it as well. But I think I'll do that as a separate video. Maybe I'll do it earlier in the day tomorrow. Connie Bomber, I'm not saying because I don't want to say, because I don't want to get in trouble. Yes, is it Star Reese? Reese, Star Reese. Yeah, it's been going on for some time now. Okay, I think I'm going to change the title and take the Gilded Age off of the thumbnail because I don't think I'm going to talk about it tonight since there's only one person here that's been watching it. You guys, this is the best season for the Gilded Age. The best season. Well, okay. I guess it's just me and one other person. I guess we'll have all of the fun ourselves. Well, when I first saw these pictures, I said, Lord Jesus, they're multiplying. You see, I woke up and I thought I smelled barbecue. And I said, oh, somebody barbecuing. I had woke up to go and get myself a cold pop. And then I saw a bunch of red hair and I said, Lord Jesus is a fire. And I ran.
Ain't nobody got time for that.
And I said,
ain't nobody got time for that.
Uh-huh. Yep, I saw all that red hair and I said, Lord Jesus is a fire.
Ain't nobody got time for that.
Could you imagine being on a road trip with me, talking nonstop? And I really do. I could go for miles and just talk and talk and talk and talk and talk. I never run out of things to say. I am the ultimate travel companion. Of course, it's not good when you're trying to sleep and I'm still talking, but talk and talk and talk and talk and talk. I be feeling sorry for the person who's sitting next to me on the plane. I really do. I feel sorry for them because you are about to hear my entire life story. Oh, man. Okay, cheers. Cheers. All right, love you guys. Good night.